Welcome to CBC Windsor News at 6. I'm Meg Roberts. Thanks so much for spending part of your evening with us tonight. Messy commute this morning, and all that precipitation along with freezing temperatures is causing some icy concerns. Plus, a Transit Windsor bus shortage is causing some riders to wait twice as long. We bring you the details on that tonight, and a special flag raising ceremony at City Hall today in honor of our neighbors across the river. Another blast of winter hit Windsor, Essex again today. It made for a pretty messy morning commute, and it may not be done just yet. Dale Molnar went out to brave the cold today and is out there live now. Dale, can you bring us up to speed on the current conditions?
Well, Meg, it's not too bad out here right now. The roads, I'm here at Crawford and University, and the roads are in good shape. They're kind of wet, but in good shape altogether. We're looking at about 2 more centimeters of snow overnight tonight, with 2 to 4 tomorrow, and the city is ready for it all with about 21 pieces of equipment to hit the roads. Now, it's been a mixed bag of weather over the last few days, snow, ice, and really severe cold temperatures. It was a lot warmer today, of course. Now, while some people are out having fun today, others are just trying to get around safely, and the city is doing what it can to try to keep the roads and the sidewalks clear.
All right, good one.
The snow came down pretty heavily at Malden Park this morning, so some people didn't hesitate to take advantage.
So the oldest one actually is missing school. Yeah, we decided to have a little snow day because it's a PA day tomorrow, so decided to just keep him home and come and have a little bit of fun over here.
But on the roads, slipping and sliding wasn't as much fun. Snowplows were out at midnight, but it was rough going for them too.
We did bring the contractors in roughly around 4 a.m. As the snow was coming down more heavier. And certainly it was challenging this morning, especially the temperature drop, so the salt wasn't that effective.
By midday, the major roads were in good shape, but the same couldn't be said about a lot of the sidewalks, some of which hadn't been cleared even after last Friday's snowstorm. So many are still covered in ice, making it difficult for pedestrians, like Sebastian Gagne, who walks with a cane.
It's actually really bad because this morning the sidewalk and the ice, and I kind of fell and I hurt my ankle, but these sidewalks need to be done because people can't walk, especially people with wheelchairs and people with walkers, people with problems. They can't walk because there's too much ice and there's too much snow.
Homeowners have 12 hours to clear snow from the city's sidewalks in front of their houses. Business owners have 4 hours. The city enforces the bylaw based on complaints, and they've had 150 since last Friday. Bylaw enforcement first tries to get property owners to comply, but if they don't, the city gets a contractor to do it, and they charge it to the property owner's taxes.
We're concentrating on areas where there may be a health and safety risk, or where somebody who needs extra space on the sidewalk to get through safely, that we're addressing that, or for maybe residents that have taken no initiative to remove the snow or ice. Those are what we're focusing on.
Having more snow angels would help get the snow cleared. They help shovel snow for people who can't do it. The city currently has 15 volunteers signed up for the program, but they need about 100 people. Nicole Lynch has been doing it for 4 years and is encouraging others to get involved.
Absolutely do it. It feels great. Like I said, there's nothing better than being a good neighbor, and we want people to be able to use the sidewalks, to still be able to go outside even though it's cold out.
And if you want to be a snow angel, you can call 311 to get your name on the list, or go to the 311 website. And if you're tired of all this snow and this cold, hang in there, because next week we're expecting balmy temperatures. It's supposed to be about 7 degrees above zero by midweek next week. Med?
Dale, I am one of those tired ones. Thanks so much. That's the CBC's Dale Molnar. Negotiations between Transit Windsor and unionized workers are expected to continue tomorrow. This after the union put a pause on its strike threat earlier this week. But even without the complications of a possible strike, riders have noticed changes at some city stops. Some are waiting twice as long for their bus. The CBC's Chris Ensing explains.
Transit Windsor has had to cut service to high-frequency lines because they don't have enough buses. Here's why. They have a fleet that is older than industry standard, and they need to replace the brakes. But to do those repairs, they have to use hoists that are often broken. 6 of 13 have been out of service at points this month. And those hoists are inside of a garage that is aging itself. It's also over capacity. Most nights, 21 buses of the service's 117 sit outside. Those buses are out in the cold, deep freeze we just experienced, and it makes it harder for them to start in the morning. That's when the bus shortages are felt the most. There have been days this week where the service needs another 20 buses just to hit their minimum daily standard.
Weather has been part of it, but a lot of it is related to aging equipment, and it's been related to aging infrastructure inside the facility as well. But I'm confident with the overtime, the new hoist equipment we're going to be getting in very shortly, and of course the new bus is coming, that this will be a short-term situation.
He did not give an exact date for when that will be. 18 new buses were ordered last year to upgrade the fleet, but supply issues by the bus maker mean they may not hit city streets until mid to late 2024. The garage issues were highlighted in a master plan dating back to 2019. 2 years ago, City Council voted against a new garage. Repairs to the current facility are a long time coming. A 2017 report found the mechanical, heating, and electrical systems needed to be repaired or replaced and would cost $10 million. A 2021 report says those repairs were not fully completed, and the costs have spiked to $46 million just to keep the garage functional. That would not cover the costs of additional buses that are required to implement the transit master plan. The city did get $40 million from the federal government that can be spent on the garage. Staff are expected to start the design and engineering process soon. Chris Hensing, CBC News, Windsor.
Essex County has passed its budget. Two of the highlights: helping the homeless and improving paramedic services. And as the CBC's TJ Deer explains, those improvements coming with a tax increase.
After 2 meetings of deliberations, Essex County residents now know how much their taxes will increase by. Property owners will see a tax increase of 4.95% compared to last year. For every $100,000 of someone's property value, that means an extra $25.55 each year. One of the highlights of the budget was a $2 million investment to help build 36 tiny homes for county residents experiencing homelessness in partnership with the Bridge Youth Center in Leamington over the next 2 years.
We're ecstatic. We're so excited. The next steps will be then going to the provincial and federal government, as well as any private donors that do want to get involved.
Another $16.1 million will be spent on improving the county's emergency services. The plan is to spend that money on hiring 16 full-time paramedics, as well as replace 8 ambulances and 44 automated CPR machines. This comes as Essex Windsor EMS grappled with multiple ambulance shortages last year. At some points, there were no ambulances available to respond to 911 calls, something known as a code black. In a statement to CBC News, EMS Chief Justin Lammers said they're grateful for the support of Council in answering the need for more paramedics on the road in our region. We're optimistic that these enhancements will assist with our rising call volume and the current pressures we're facing in our region. But the lion's share of every tax dollar will be spent on improving some of the county's roads. When asked how county residents will benefit, the county's Director of Infrastructure and Planning said the county likes to provide quality infrastructure and roads that are safe and efficient for not only the residents and taxpayers, but also for our businesses to allow people to get safely to and from work, to and from home, and to and from a recreation event. This year's County of Essex budget is worth about $8.6 million more than last year's, coming to a total of more than $132 million. TJ Deer, CBC News, Windsor.
5 overdoses were reported during SafePoint's final 2 months of operation before shutting its doors on January 1st. This is according to new data from the Windsor-Essex County Health Unit. 4 of the overdoses at the drug consumption and treatment site were treated on the spot. 1 led to a person being transferred to the hospital. None of the people died. Over the 8 months that SafePoint was open, staff helped with more than 1,200 visits by 248 people. While people use drugs in the space, many access social service supports as well. SafePoint closed its doors as of January 1st due to a lack of funding from the provincial government. The health unit says its application to the province is still in limbo. A new flag is flying high at City Hall. This one is Honolulu Blue. It's the city's way of trying to show some love to the Detroit Lions, who play this Sunday at home. Councilors say they want our neighbors to know we're with them as they continue on with their monumental playoff journey.
1, 2, 3.
Go Lions! Usually we don't come together on one issue which we all agree on, but I believe this may be one of the first times in history that we all agree on something. Let's go Lions.
You know, all through the years, I was dreaming that maybe this would happen in my lifetime, and here it is. It's happening right now. We got a great team, and I'm so excited. And you know what's really great is how this is bringing Detroit and Windsor together, and we're not thinking about all the bad things that are happening everywhere, and there's a lot of things happening. And, you know, this weekend, you know, enjoy yourself.
Essex County and Chatham-Kent are among 9 Ontario municipalities receiving provincial money to manage risks from inactive oil and gas wells. You likely remember the downtown Wheatley explosion in August of 2021. Afterwards, 3 wells were plugged after a hydrogen sulfide leak was discovered. The province announced today $2 million will be spent this year. That's to improve emergency preparedness and prevent emergencies. The money is part of a 3-year provincial program to tackle the issue of old and inactive oil wells. A total of $7.5 million will be spent over that time. A recent Statistics Canada report shows 1 in 9 Canadian adults have experienced what is known as long COVID. Yet clinics that deal with it are losing funding, and patients struggling with the life-altering symptoms are feeling abandoned. But as Christine Bierak reports, researchers remain hopeful that science will provide some solutions.
Studies show 50 to 75% of long COVID patients recover, and vaccines help. But the latest StatsCan data reveal some bad news. As of last June, over 2 million Canadians reported they were still experiencing long COVID symptoms.
I live in Quebec City,
Matlin, British Columbia,
Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
And yet, without warning, provincial funding for long COVID clinics is drying up.
I've had memory loss.
We asked patients across the country what they're dealing with.
I have trouble breathing. I suffer from nausea daily.
It ripped my gallbladder.
My life has been in complete chaos.
Doctors treating long COVID patients say too many are being ignored.
Their experiences aren't being validated with long COVID and are often told that this is all just in your head.
It's like aging 50 years in the span of a few weeks.
Marchell asked us not to use his last name. A COVID infection 2 years ago left him with lung damage, fatigue, and brain fog. He recently received a letter saying a local post-COVID rehab program is closing effective immediately.
We regret to inform you,
directing him to the World Health Organization and other websites.
I was looking for someone to figure this out with instead of trying to figure it out myself.
When it comes to long COVID, I suffered from it myself for 18 months.
Manali Mukherjee studies long COVID, searching for differences in patients who ended up with the condition and those who recovered. A newly published study and commentary found abnormalities in patients with long COVID, including immune damage or changes in blood protein levels linked to prolonged inflammation. Mukherjee says those findings, along with others, could ultimately lead to tests and treatments for the condition. Her message to patients?
Have faith. The medical community is working on it. The scientific community is working on it.
Patients desperately want hope, but many worry as memories of the pandemic fade, they will be forgotten. Christine Bierak, CBC News, Toronto.
Today is the deadline for Canadian businesses to repay COVID-19 pandemic loans. Almost 900,000 businesses and nonprofits received a Canada Emergency Business Account loan of up to $60,000. Up to 1/3 of them could be forgiven if the outstanding amount is repaid by today. Otherwise, the debt will convert into a 3-year loan with 5% annual interest. Businesses can also refinance the loan with a financial institution. Business groups have been calling for another extension, but Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says it's time to wrap the programs up. Some messy weather out there this morning, and we aren't quite out of it yet. Josiah Sidanen is standing by with your weather forecast. That's coming up after the break. Josiah, that was quite the morning we had out there.
It was, Meg. It was slippery, it was slushy, it was a bit of a nuisance, but those temperatures are a lot more manageable than what we were seeing earlier this week, which is very nice. And we'll get into a little bit more of that later, but let's start today off by looking at our forecast to see what's ahead in the next 5 days. And Meg, to me, this is a bit of an exciting forecast.
Exciting? Okay.
Yeah, we'll start off with Friday, looking at that snow continuing in periods throughout the day and a high of -5. Saturday, the sun comes out, a high of -6 and a 40% chance of flurries. Sunday, Lions game day, a mix of sun and cloud, no snow forecasted, and a high of -3. Monday, we are finally back in some positives, a high of +1 and a 40% chance of flurries. And look at this, Meg, Tuesday, a forecast of a mix of snow and rain, but a high of +4. And I will definitely take some snow and rain if it comes with a high of +4. What about you, Meg?
See, I would take 30 and some sun at this point. I even opted to walk to work this morning because I felt like the road conditions, I wanted to avoid them, and walking was going to get me here and get me here on time. So that's what I decided to do.
Yeah, and you know what, Meg, I don't think you're alone. I think just in speaking to people today, the roads are a little bit dicey out there, and probably not the worst decision. And honestly, Meg, I think that driving condition, that temperature is going to keep fluctuating. That means that snow is going to be thick and sludgy kind of in those next 5 days. But although it might not be great for driving, it is great for one thing, kind of. Check out some of this artwork I saw in my neighborhood this afternoon.
Artwork, that is. What is the nose and the eyes?
You know what? The eyes, I think they were like little push pin type things. I feel like the nose was a pen or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not
all
quite
right,
the
that's
carrot.
smart. Yeah.
And you know what? I do have one more for you as well. Check this one out.
Oh.
That one needed a little bit of help. And you know what? It is that it's kind of a representation of that snow. It's thick and sludgy. It's still ongoing, but it's not like that beautiful. I don't know.
It is not that beautiful, absolutely, but I do feel like this is kind of represents my January mood. Like I'm standing upright, but I need some help.
Me too,
you know?
Meg. And you know what? We're almost through it. And
Yeah.
I think that +4 day will be quite rewarding for us. Maybe not those snowmen, but I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm absolutely looking forward to next week. I am not going to lie. Thanks so much for that, Josiah.
Thank you, Meg.
We've got more coming up. Stay tuned. Pakistan has launched airstrikes today against alleged militant hideouts inside Iran. It's seen as a retaliation over similar attack by Iran into Pakistan this week that left at least 2 dead. Iranian officials say at least 9 people were killed by Pakistan's strikes. The attacks on either side of the border appeared to target Baluch militant separatist groups. The flare-up between the two countries comes amid concern over the regional expansion of Israel's war with Hamas. On Monday, Iran launched airstrikes in Iraq and Syria against suspected ISIS militants, apparently in response to a recent suicide bombing in Iran that killed 90 people. The U.S. is keeping up airstrikes against the Houthis in Yemen. The Iran-backed rebels have been attacking commercial shipping in the Red Sea for the past 2 months in support of Hamas. Some companies are rerouting vessels to avoid the area. And as Brett Ruskin explains, it's causing supply chain issues.
Local impacts now being felt as a result of that conflict on the other side of the world in the Middle East. So here in Halifax, we have ships that come in and out of port every single day, but the ones coming from Asia are beginning to arrive more than 11 days behind schedule. And the shipping companies are starting to avoid their conventional routes. So the normal route goes through the Red Sea, squeezes through the Suez Canal, through the Mediterranean, over across the Atlantic here to Halifax. Takes around 23 days or so normally. The new route goes down south along the yellow line there, around Africa, and then across the Atlantic from there. A safer route, but a longer route, around 34 days. And so the first ship to take that new route and arrive here in Halifax arrived this week, carrying, again, goods from Asia that are destined to different places here in North America. And so we have more ships arriving that were supposed to be here last week, likely won't be here until later this weekend because of these delays, because of this new route. Again, the supply chain and the folks behind the supply chain have to now rejig the system a bit, because the containers are unloaded here in the port of Halifax, loaded onto trucks, onto trains, and then sent inland to Ontario, to Quebec, south of the border as well, from t-shirts to TVs, to tea leaves, just about everything that you would watch this broadcast on even spent some time in a shipping container. So still hard to pinpoint as of now what might be the first goods affected, whether it be because of the delays and the increased cost to make that longer journey and what it might mean for consumers. But again, local impact as a result of this conflict on the other side of the world. Brett Ruskin, CBC News, Halifax.
The year of elections, that's what some are calling 2024. Some of the biggest democracies in the world are going to the polls, including the U.S., UK, and India. As Catherine Tunney explains, there are growing fears some will weaponize artificial intelligence to misinform and influence the outcome.
Inside, Canada's cyber spies are sifting through intelligence, already concerned about the next election and how artificial intelligence is changing the game.
We know that misinformation and disinformation is already a threat to democratic processes. This will potentially add to that amplification. That is quite concerning.
One of her worries? Deepfakes. Like this one. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis never said these words.
And I took some very bad advice. I did some very bad things.
It's made to make you think he's dropping out of the race to be the Republican Party's presidential hopeful. Watch the mouth. It doesn't match the words.
I never should have challenged President Trump.
One giveaway of AI for now. But as the technology gets better and better, the concerns for democracy grow and grow.
This is what we fear, is potentially that there could be a foreign interference so grave that then the electoral results are brought into question.
Here's something you might have seen before on your social media feed.
On artificial intelligence.
A deepfake of the National's Ian Hannah-Mansing that seems to be selling cryptocurrency.
Manage more than 765.
He never recorded that. It's made with AI. Okay, but what if during the next election you see multiple videos that look and sound like a journalist you trust telling you the date of the election has changed? Would you believe it?
These are not conversations that are happening front and center in Parliament right now, and that is concerning.
This Conservative MP says the government is missing the mark. It's time to consider legislation, she says.
And there's some really tough questions that we're going to have to ask ourselves about how we deal with this but also protect free speech, right? So again, it's just something that really makes my skin crawl.
Okay, so let's play this game. I'm the good person, and you're trying to spread conspiracy theories.
I am the conspiracy theorist.
Okay. Scott DeYoung believes education is key to fighting disinformation. He's created a board game to teach people how conspiracy theories spread.
My actual advice for people during these kind of election times is to try to watch things live, because it's a lot harder to see the deep fakes or the false content when you're watching the live version.
With the year of elections upon us, including maybe one in Canada, experts say the best strategy is to act now. Or come election day, we might all lose. Catherine Tunney, CBC News, Montreal.
If the medium is the message, then a Croatian sculptor's work may express a burning passion for his craft. Tomislav Horvat creations like this figure of Michelangelo are the usual size and shape, but look closely and you'll see the texture is achieved with matches applied to a base. The pianist used more than 200,000 of them. Well, that's it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, you can go to our website at cbc.ca/Windsor. Thanks so much for tuning in. Looking forward to seeing you back here tomorrow night.